Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Three Men in Football. Hi lads.
Hello Thomas, Simon, how are we?
Alright boys, Darren, what are you wearing?
It's a Villa top, mate. What a wonderful day it is to be a supporter.
You a little bit excited, Daz?
Slightly, my blood pressure's come right down now. The beta blockers have been on order. We're all right, we're good.
I'm even having a beer to celebrate, and this is after the one that I just knocked over.
Yeah.
Cheers, Daz.
Cheers, guys. I obviously don't drink, but I might have a Diet Coke.
Cheers. I'm on the whole garden.
Yeah, I've been there. It's a nice place.
Yeah. What a day it was.
Oh,
It worked out well, didn't it?
It worked out very well.
It worked out well for you too. You were excited, you had stuff. I watched Man United Leicester. Oh my God. What a rubbish
How
game.
bad was that game?
It was awful. It was awful. There wasn't really a lot of chances. There was a couple of penalty shouts. That was about it. And then the goal was a blatant penalty. Martial got brought down, scissor kicked by two of them. And then there was very, very late drama. Massive mistake by Schmeichel. But other than that, it was awful. And I was just started channel switching then. It was that bad.
Yeah,
so I can get some good news from my mate Darren.
Yeah, because Thomas, you were a minute ahead of me. And you'd look at a screen and shake your head or do something. And I'd be like, what's happened? What games are you watching? Tell me what's going on. It's a nightmare. And then you'd smirk and thinking, is that a good thing or not? It was, yeah. And I'm watching the telly, I'm thinking, West Ham are on the attack here. Thomas is smiling. What's happening?
Yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Simon, you looked though you had the brilliant game.
They were really good. I thought it was really open because Arsenal are useless at the back, obviously, and Watford knew they had to push. Watford are not a great side, not even a good side really at the moment. But they've had a couple of decent games. They've been doing better, and now they're getting rid of the manager 2 games before the end of the season. Seems like an absolutely terrible decision.
Definitely.
Well, they've reaped that now, haven't they? Because of they've got relegated. But I do find it with 2 games to go a little bit concerning about what happened with that. Because surely you just
like they fell out, doesn't it? Because that's the only way it happened.
Did they just have an argument after the defeat, and then he wasn't happy with things that Pearson said, and then sacked him?
Apparently, there's rumours going around, isn't it, on Facebook and Twitter about there was some sort of altercation, a fight or something, or
really
heated words were said, and
but it knocked him out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that was the issue. I think he just doesn't back down. You know.
Yeah. Well, that club is run by the owners, isn't it? The team is basically run by the owners, and the manager just has to implement what they tell them to implement.
And that's no way to run a club. No. Is Elton John still the president or something, or lifelong president of the club?
No idea.
I don't think he has anything to do with it anymore. I don't think he's got tie or shares or anything.
Remember, he used to be at the game all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good game.
Remember when it was windy and he'd be in the crowd and his little toupee would flitter in the wind?
Yeah, that's Thomas's opinion, not mine and Daz's.
Yeah.
Just for legal purposes. Yeah, no, it was a Watford Arsenal was a decent game because it was end to end, ended 3-2. Could have been more as well. There was chances, but Watford just, I don't know. They're just not a good side. Arsenal not a good side either, but held out and got the win in the end.
But again, a similar thing for me, Stan. I kept watching you. I'm trying to watch the game. I'm watching Thomas's a minute ahead of his reaction. I'm watching you going, I'm thinking, has he spilled something again?
Yeah, another drink is gone.
But because you kept turning your head and you're going, it's a goal. And I'm like, who for?
Yeah,
like, Watford have got one back. I'm like, shh.
Yeah, we haven't quite got this commentating locked down, have we?
No, basically we were all going, and that was it.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good thing to do. I like the lives. The lives are good fun. It's a different feeling in it when you're doing it.
Yeah, and I think the interactions from everyone who came on and watched it was great. You know, a bit of banter. We had reporters in every.
Cy Frost was at Everton.
Was watching every game. It was just brilliant.
Yeah, it was good.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, we had him. We had Graham Miglaw at Southampton.
Yeah.
We had Ray Darby just dipping into each one of the games, giving us a bit of commentary.
There was Matt there as well. Matthew
Bashir was there.
Yeah.
Dean was on. Yeah. Excellent.
It was
really
great.
good. Really enjoyed that. But it's been a good season. It's been a good season. Villa have stayed up, obviously, because Daz, you were just about to get relegated off the podcast as well.
I believe so. I didn't realise that till 45 minutes into the game.
Sorry, your manager hadn't spoken to you?
No, the facts hadn't come through, apparently.
No, but I just told you live.
Yeah.
It's not going to be 3 men in a championship, is it?
Yeah. Got to be careful. Dad's got to only have Premier League teams represented on the podcast.
Yeah, I've got 1 more year left on my contract, apparently.
Guy Watson is itching to take your place, Darren.
Yeah, he's in.
And the thing is, he could do.
Yeah, the other thing up the other end as well is Man United and Leicester. And that was a crap game, Thomas.
Useless. United got a 2-0 win. They've made the Champions League, which is a shame, really, for someone that hates United as much as I do. But it's going to help them attract better players. They'll get better. I mean, they still need a lot of work. As Darren and you've both pointed out over the season, Harry Maguire today, how he's worth more than Virgil van Dijk, I'll never know.
That's your circumstance, though, isn't it? That's about
and
it being at that time of the year.
We've spoken about it loads of times. And stepping out of the fence and seeing the ball and thinking, I'm going to go and win that. And he runs 10 yards to win a ball. He's nowhere near it, either fouls or someone runs past him because he's just not quick enough.
Yeah.
He just cannot help running out of defence to try and win that ball. And he's got players around him that are quicker than him and more agile and mobile. So he should be literally just stepping off and letting them do the work for him. But his first reaction is, I'm going to go and win that ball. And he causes United loads of problems. I mean, Long may carry on playing for them. And Long may be the captain so that he can't get dropped. Because in the big games, you know, when they're pushing forward and he's exposed, he's going to create United a lot of problems going forward.
He basically needs to play, I think, in a back three.
He does,
like 3-5-2 or whatever the formation is. But when he's one of the only centre halves out of the two, he gets exposed too much. And I've said that for a number of years now, watching him. And
but you don't want to pay that much money for him and then that be the outcome.
But I think it was almost like a panic buy at the time. I think it was very much, we need a centre half. And he had a couple of decent games for Leicester and England. And he was certainly one that people earmarked as someone who's going to go on and do great things. And it just hasn't materialised for him, really.
The expectations are very different at Leicester than they are at Man United.
At the time, they were.
He's got the biggest head I've ever seen. The only person I know that's got a bigger head than him is Sam Allardyce and Steve Bruce. You know how much I love singing that song. Steve Bruce, he's got a big fat head. He's got a big fat head.
Again, Simon, for legal reasons, that's not us.
Yeah, nothing does.
We know Steve watches this.
Although Harry Maguire does look a bit like a weeble.
Yeah.
He's basically just a massive round head and then a couple of little legs sticking out.
You do know we've lost everyone under the age of 30 now.
yeah, no one knows what a weeble is. Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. No. Yeah, it was... I mean, I thought Leicester would get at them today because I think United there to be got at, although I think they've done really well considering how far off they were, Leicester. Weren't they like 13 points behind them at one stage?
Is that United?
Yeah, behind Leicester.
Yeah.
And then they finished where they have. Yeah.
The break did Leicester no favours. They haven't really got going after the break. Where United did very well after the break. They got a couple of good wins early. And they don't look as naive as they were previously. So they've also done something about that.
They were fragile, weren't they?
4 wins in the last 16 for Leicester.
Yeah.
17. 4 wins. You know, that's relegation fodder, isn't it?
Yeah. I think United were done a bit of a favour as well because you've got people like Greenwood that have got a bit more experience. You've got Pogba back. You've got Fernandes settled in, started doing well. I thought Rashford hasn't done that well since they come back, but other than him, they've actually done pretty well.
Yeah, they're still crying out for a number 9, if you like, and I think this Greenwood is potentially that number 9.
It's just whether he plays that role.
Yeah, and that's the difficult. I think United have too many players similar to that. You know, Rashford, Lingard, Martial, they're all very similar. They're not the main striker. They all want to just play off and around the striker. So, yeah, it'd be interesting what they do in the markets, in transfer market this summer.
Well, the big problem for me is because they've made the Champions League, they're a rich club anyway, but they're going to attract the better players because no one will move anywhere unless there's Champions League involved.
Yeah, but it's who are you going to bring in that number 9 role? Who have you seen that could fill that spot?
Well, no idea. I mean, there's not a lot out there, really, is there? You look at world football, there isn't a lot of, exciting number 9s.
No.
Going to come in and shed loads of goals.
It is one for you. That it maybe not a number 9, but think it Real Madrid, Gareth Bale.
Yeah, he's
not a number 9 as such, but he'd be a great buy for them.
Yeah, but it looks like Real Madrid are blocking that move, aren't they?
There's something going on there massively.
He's got a contract. Apparently, his contract is $600,000 a week.
That's ridiculous.
He really likes living in Spain, and he really likes playing golf.
Yeah, sitting on the bench. Yeah, I mean, there's no ambition there, though, is there?
Dan hates him, doesn't he?
Yeah. Wonder why? Wonder what's happened?
I just don't think. I think it because his body keeps on breaking down. I think he just can't rely on him to build a side with him as one of the star players involved, and then relying on him. And then as soon as they start relying on him, his body breaks down. He's out for 6 weeks, and then they're going to have to change the system. And he just doesn't want to go down that route. I don't think.
Maybe at the over 40s, he's getting prepped for the over 40s.
Yeah.
There, I think.
Yeah, that's generally the way it works with over 40s.
To be honest, our training yesterday was lightning.
Yeah.
For some, Thomas, for some.
Oh, no, I did 10 minutes out, 10 minutes in.
Yeah, it was a good day. Good way to finish off. Obviously, not much on the line for Liverpool other than the 99 points, and they did well again today, Tom.
Well, I've only seen the goals. I was asked to be a roving reporter today and watch the Man United Leicester. It was diabolical. I've seen the goals. We conceded the goal after something like 26 seconds. Dwight Gale scored. We were pretty poor. And the first thing I thought about was how much of a good player I thought John Joe Shelby is. And we've been talking about teams and what certain teams need. And Everton are looking for a massive rebuild, and their midfield is dire, to be fair to them. And I thought he'd be a great player for Everton.
Yeah. He's
got that steel about him. He's got that nastiness about him. He's got the quality on the ball. He drives the team on. I think he'd be a perfect signing for Everton and take Everton forward next year if they were looking and he was available to buy. He'd be a great signing. But then the usual suspects show up. Van Dijk, great goal at the back post, lovely looping header. Origi, great goal, and then stopper off Mane's curled one in the 89th minute. Good win and an absolutely fabulous season for English champions, the mighty Liverpool FC.
Every time. I'm
just delighted with them, Darren.
Yeah.
Today's
not about Liverpool. Today is all about Aston Villa, isn't it? And you've even got on and everything.
It was. There was always going to be a twist today, and I just hope it fell for us. And when the equaliser went in, and the way it went in, and the manner it went in, you almost think, "Oh, where we go?" And then I kept watching you and thinking, if they get a point, and there's too many things going through your head while you're trying to watch the game and somehow enjoy it. And even at the final whistle, Dean Smith was like, "Don't be celebrating." You could see him going, "Just wait."
Yeah.
And then the results obviously came through, and then they erupted. But Villa didn't play particularly well today. Where are they going for a point? Possibly. This is out for. Grealish was out the game. Trezeguet was out the game. But Grealish scored a great goal, to be fair, left foot. And then 90 seconds later, it's 1-1. And that just deflates you. And you just think, can we hold on now? Can we make sure we manage the game? Because this season we haven't. We haven't managed games. I'd say we managed the game in the last 5 to 6 minutes against West Ham, who, by the way, played very well at times. Some really good, exciting players. Moyes done a great job there. It can't be underestimated. And it'd be interesting to see whether they back him in the summer. Villa, what was our next steps? Well, our next steps is to rip up the transfer policy that we've got for this year because it hasn't worked. It's to make sure that if Grealish goes, I think he will, we get the maximum we can get from him. Whether that's 50, 60 million, I don't know. The value only comes by how much the club wants you. You talked about Van Dijk earlier and you talked about Maguire. It's the value is whatever they want to pay for you. And I think you probably get 60 million for Grealish. That investment could get us 2 or 3 decent players. There's Benrahma, I think his name is from Brentford or someone we were touted with quite a lot. Yeah, it's quite a lot in the summer last year. Didn't quite come off. We've got to build on what we've got. I think we desperately need to go out and get two quality strikers. You know, Troy Deeney, we spoke about him before. I'd like him at Villa for at least a season or two because I think he's got the fight and he's a good player. He's strong. He can hold the ball up. He's quick. You talk about Bournemouth have gone down. Callum Wilson's been tipped to go to United. Another one to go tipped. But if United change their mind, I'd put a little bit in for that. He's injury issues there. But you've got two strikers there who are proven in the Premier League. And with the better players around them, McGinn looked like his old self today, which is good. Louise in midfield did quite well. He's one-paced, but again, he's got people around him. He can do the job. The back four didn't particularly look threatened at any point during the game. Reina, we have to sort of goalkeeper out. We've got Heaton coming back, which is a plus point. Reina's done great for us last 3 or 4 games because of his communication. We've got to look at and reflect, and not just reflect in terms of, oh yeah, we stayed up. Really reflect on what went wrong, because it did go wrong for us. But those lads now have had a year in the Premier League. They know what it's about now. They know the standard. They know the work rate that's needed. It's a massive job again this summer for Villa. But it would be for me, transfers are crucial.
Well, I mean, year one is about staying in the league, isn't it? So
yes.
they've achieved their target now. Their target at the beginning of the year would have been stay in the league. They've stayed in the league.
Yeah.
Now they've got to build. If they make the same mistakes that they made last year, then you're done for again. You'll have a really difficult year. They've got to buy well. They've got to build well. I think they keep the manager as well. Let's spend a bit of time investing in him as opposed to going and finding someone else who they think can do a better job, and then see where you go from there.
Definitely, I think.
Have Villa got any money? Two questions really. What are the owners? What are they like? Have they got money, and are they able to compete in the transfer market with the clubs that are going to be challenging you next year to stay in the league or even get up the league? And two is, did you buy that shirt yourself? And what's the rules on men over 40 wearing football shirts? Because I don't know one, as you know. So let's start with the transfer policy and then we'll get to
transfer policy. I think we have got money. I think if we'd have gone down, the backers probably would have pulled out, to be honest with you. That's how much.
The backers, I think it's a bit strange. Are they not part of the ownership group?
Yeah. But what happened is the Villa's being part owned. We had the guy from China come in, and then he's got these other people involved, and I think he's gone now. So the ownership is very much, I think it's about an 80% split. I could be wrong, and I don't want to get quoted on it. But the owners were saying it'll cost Villa about £200 million if they went down.
Wow.
And they would have just pulled right back. And what you don't want to happen is see the club go back up for sale, because it's been up for the last 5-6 years. It's been up for sale. We got one owner coming in, didn't quite work out. We've got these other ones coming in to support the owner. The owner left. Dr. Forget his name. I'm hopeless.
Zeus.
That's him. Yeah. Those are 3 points. Go higher up the league. And I think that the guys, the owners, they want to pump money in now because, as Simon said earlier, the whole point was to stay in the Premier League. I was asked in September, what do you want to do? I said, if we finished fourth from bottom, it's a good season.
Yeah.
Because last year we let 10 players go because of the contracts, the age, what have you. We had to go out and buy. Now, I think there were a couple of panic buys. I really do. But actually, as the season grew and it was coming evident that we were going to be in a relegation battle, the first 6 games, Villa could have had about another 10 points because Tottenham, we should have held out.
Points away, didn't you?
Yeah, Liverpool, we should have held out. And it's those games where you just think, in the Premier League, you've got to go for 95 minutes. You've got to go to the end. Most games now are 93-4. You can't stop at 80 minutes thinking you've won the game. And Villa did that a lot. And I think it comes down to fitness as well. In the Championship, you can get away with it. You can't. It's a different level in the Premier League.
I think it's very fast. The game is very fast in comparison to the Championship, isn't it? All of a sudden, it's like a step up.
Yeah. And every mistake, you get found out. And we spoke about Mings. To be fair to Mings and Conte, the last 4, 5, 6 games they played together, they look quite good.
He's done well the last few games. I've seen him look
he's
really
gone back to basics. He's cut out all the I'm great, and it's really good to see because actually when he just defends, he's really good. Taggart left back's done well. Gilbert at right back came on the other day, did well, got off injured today. We need to really look at the midfield and the system he plays. I'm not a massive fan of the system with the players we've got because I don't think they're fit enough to play the system. I think Grealish going, might be a good thing in many ways. It sounds stupid that, because I think we're putting all our eggs in one basket with Grealish, and I think we rely on him too much. And sometimes you've just got to, by letting him go, it frees up 2 or 3 other players that you can go and buy.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Before you answer the second part of my question, we'll throw it over to our oppo here, Simon. You've got a couple of football shirts. They're not Liverpool shirts because you're over 40. And I just want, what's your opinion on Darren? I know it's the final day and it's a big day for him, but what do you think about him wearing the Villa shirt at his age?
I've got a Liverpool shirt which Steve Noon gave me before I went to the States, and he got it signed by Luis Suarez, and I've kept it. I had it framed in my office actually for a while, but I've kept it. And when we were doing the celebration episode last week, I brought it into the room with me, but I couldn't put it on. It just doesn't feel right putting a Liverpool shirt on. I've got a couple of other football shirts that I wear when we're playing football, but yeah, I'm not a fan of wearing your team's football shirt.
So, Darren,
because I'm over 40.
I think you two need to grow up. I don't see anything wrong with it.
I just think it looks a bit weird.
To be fair, he's dismissing you there, Tom. No messing about.
So, Thomas,
I'm firing straight back. I think it looks a bit weird. It looks a bit like...
Thomas, I can't change the face. The kit's lovely.
It looks like... It reminds me of like the strange ice cream man that talks to the kids with a little bit too long.
Hey, to be fair, you've had hundreds and thousands of those lines.
Hey!
It's a bit flaky now. Let's move on. But Thomas, when I go to football, I wear a football top. Sometimes it's the Real Madrid, sometimes it's Barcelona.
No, but I think you get away with it. You get away with it because it's Aston Villa. I think if it was a Liverpool or Everton shirt, you get looked at very differently. Because people don't expect someone in Liverpool to support Villa. So when you wear a Villa shirt, they think it's like me wearing like an Inter Milan or a Juventus shirt.
Yeah, it looks like a second-hand training top.
Listen, Thomas, you and I are going to fall. I know where you live, and I'm not afraid to come round and pass you the letter I've written about you.
Send him an email, Daz. Don't go round.
No, don't go round, because Rachel will see you. She'll burst you.
She'll kill you.
No,
So listen, this year, right? I think 2 decent sides have gone down. Norwich were useless. But if you got to think about Villa getting out of the relegation battle, Bournemouth going down and Watford going down. 2 decent sides have gone down. I mean, they'll do. The challenge they'll have now is getting back up again because they'll sell some of their better players. But this year, a couple of decent sides have gone down.
I would know.
The league doesn't like.
Exactly. I'll go with Thomas. I think
the league doesn't like.
At times they've been decent.
It doesn't. Consistency. Crystal Palace have looked really poor at times this year, and so have West Ham. Although West Ham have come out of it and done better.
But I think, Simon, they've looked poor, Palace, since the lockdown. Beforehand, they were doing quite well. They got enough in the bag so they could have a poor after lockdown or wherever.
Yeah.
West Ham, Moyes got them playing at the right time. And that's basically what he did. But I think the issue with Watford and Bournemouth is, I think they're quite a small club with a small fan base, and that's not disrespecting them. Troy Deeney's just come out and said it's going to cost people jobs, this. Yeah. And I think when it's a small club like that, that's the reality. Bournemouth Stadium's only something like 15,000, 16,000 capacity or something stupid for the Premier League.
It is really small, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's that. I think Bournemouth are going to struggle massively to come back up. I think Watford, it depends on the owners because they're very erratic at the best of times. So I think they're going to struggle to come back up because that Championship, from experience, is tough to get out of.
Yeah, I wonder who they'll get as a manager as well, because that's a tough gig to take, that, isn't it? When you go down and then you're expected to come straight back up. You can't win in that scenario, can you? Because if you come up, everyone says, well, of course you've come up, you've got the parachute payments, you've just come down from the Premier League, you've kept a lot of your players, and if you don't go up, you're the worst in the world.
Yeah, it's interesting.
There's a couple of things there. So they get the parachute payments, but there are a lot of the clubs use them to secure some of the debts, to secure some jobs, possibly pay off a couple of players to go play in the Premiership and say, listen, we're going to give you £100,000 to leave us. I think that stuff like that happens rather than them to try and build to get back up.
Yeah.
The payments. I don't think the payments are used. I think that's used to secure the club on a financial footing rather than improve the club to compete to come back up. If you've got rich owners that can invest, then you're okay, because the richest clubs generally rise to the top. But another thing that probably is going to happen is, I think Eddie Howe is probably going to leave Bournemouth after all them years. I think
that'd be a shame now.
I can see the writing on the wall for that. And I think it'd be really, I think for him, it'll be good to have a little break from the game, and then hopefully he comes back and he's got another job somewhere else, and all the press and everyone that's been praising him over the years for the way he plays football and his football ethics and everything else that he's got good about him, if he can prove it at another club, then he's worth a shot at going up further up the league and managing one of the top 6 clubs. But I think he's got to prove it somewhere else.
I think the issue, Thomas, is, you can try and play football all you want, but he's just been relegated.
Well, his signings have cost him his job.
Yeah, definitely.
They've just released the winger that they signed from Liverpool, Jordan Henderson.
Yeah.
They signed him for 15 million. They let him go for nothing.
Something's happened there, surely, with him.
Dominic Solanke, he's only scored his first 2 goals in the last 2 weeks. Signed him for 15 million. Or the signings, when they've spent big money, have not worked out. The players that he's worked on and have brought through, they're the ones that have worked out and have stood out for Bournemouth over the years.
But he tried to buy young players, up-and-coming young players. Jordan Henderson was an up-and-coming, Solanke up-and-coming. Yeah. It hasn't worked out. He's gambled on those two, making the right progress while they're at Bournemouth. And whether it's injuries, attitude or whatever, it hasn't worked out for him.
What do you think happens with Harry Wilson now?
I think he'll go back to Liverpool.
I think he's going to get sold for 20 million.
I think he'll probably go, because he's not going to get in the Liverpool side, unfortunately.
I think they'll sell him for 20 plus million, because he'll give you 10 plus goals a season. And for anyone coming into the league next year, or anyone down the bottom that are really struggling, West Ham, for example, who really struggle for goals, someone that can give you 10 goals a season is like gold dust.
I've got an idea for you. Sell Grealish, buy Harry Wilson.
Yeah.
He'd be a decent replacement. Good on the ball, good at a set piece.
He's also
plays off the wing.
Plays off the wing where they've been sticking Grealish because they can't accommodate him in the middle.
Yeah, no, that's a good shot.
But then Villa have got to get him a central midfielder, haven't they?
Yeah. We've got to get someone to work. If he's going to play this system, which I'm not a fan of, he's got to get someone with legs playing alongside McGinn and Louise.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about the Football Writers Player of the Year, because it's got a load of press this week, because all the Liverpool fans, or the majority of them, were very happy when Jordan Henderson got awarded the Football Writers Player of the Year. However, loads of other fans, as is to be expected, have come out and said it was basically given to him as a sympathy vote. He should never have won it, and Kevin De Bruyne should have won it. So what are your thoughts, Daz?
Okay, so there's a couple of things we need to look at here. One, we need to look at what's the criteria. Because if the criteria is someone who's made great progress, someone who's done great things off the field for football, done great things for charity, then Henderson's the man. However, if it's purely based on football and the ability, and then it's Kevin De Bruyne. For me, I don't know if it's the footballers' writers. Are they looking at a bigger picture in terms of what they do outside the game? I don't think, and as a football fan, Kevin De Bruyne and Jordan Henderson are miles apart in terms of ability, and in my opinion. However, when you look at the progress Jordan Henderson's made, and I'm not his biggest fan, by the way, but the progress he's made at Liverpool Football Club has been brilliant. He stepped up when he needed to step up. Off the field, he's brilliant. And he gives us time, like a lot of players do. I think with the NHS and getting all the football lads around to really get some charity money and sort things out was great. He was one of the leaders in that. And I just don't know if they've looked at it as a whole in terms of what he's doing outside the game, or pure football, because that's two different awards then, in my opinion.
Or the other thing you could have thought of is, in the last 12 months, he's captain a side that's won the European Cup, the UEFA Super Cup, the World Club Championship, and then totally dominated the league and blew everyone away to win the Premiership. So
Yeah, but Tom, that's a
Football and
team.
ability. Yeah, but football and ability, they're worlds apart. Kevin De Bruyne is up there in the top 5 best players in world football at the moment. He's that good. Jordan Henderson isn't. But when they're looking at the impact he's had on the league this year, has Jordan Henderson had as much impact as Kevin De Bruyne? Well, he's had more of an impact. He's just led the team to the first championship in 30 years. He's led the team to the European Cup last year. The votes were already in when the European Cup was won. Raheem Sterling won it last year. He'd already been presented and had his night out before Liverpool lifted that trophy. Liverpool have started the season. They've won records right the way through the year, Liverpool as a team. And you look at 2 people that do that for you. You look at the manager who, you know, that will be decided in the next week or 2 who gets manager of the year. And I'll be very surprised if it's not Jurgen Klopp. And then you have your captain that runs the team and drives your team onto greatness or not greatness, or drives you on in games like Grealish has been expected this year to try and help Villa survive. And I think there hasn't been a better player. I'm not saying skill-wise, but the impact that Henderson's had on the league this year has been immense. And I think what people are looking at is, are we looking at individual skill, or are we looking at impact on the game? Now, we don't know what it is that these football writers are looking at. But he's already been awarded the Premiership Player of the Year. He got awarded that in lockdown, Henderson.
For Liverpool.
But to win the football writers, you know, these are the people that are covering every game. And they all get 1 vote. So it's not like it's a conspiracy because, Liverpool's loved and there's loads of people in the press. They all get 1 vote. And do you know who come third in that vote was Rashford? Should he be anywhere near the final vote?
No, but I think
minus what he did for the, you know.
But Thomas, that negates your argument because.
No, but I'm just saying it's a bigger impact on football and what they think has been who's been the overriding player of the year. Well, for me, hands down, it's been Jordan Henderson. I'm not talking about ability because Kevin De Bruyne has won it easy. So
therefore, what's the award for?
It's for being the best footballer in the UK.
But that's not what it's for then.
Well, it is, and that's.
Again, I think you're. I don't think it's just on football and ability, because if it is, then other players would have won it throughout the years. So I don't think that argument stacks up. You can't say he's got the most ability in the league, so he wins the Football Writers Player of the Year, because that's not the way it works and not the way it's ever worked. So I don't think that's the case. However, one of the arguments was, why didn't Vincent Kompany win it last year? Because he drove City on. So there's a good little argument there. Well, Raheem Sterling won it. Hang on.
No, he only won it because, or the argument is he won it because he got so much bad press about being young and black and having a gun tattoo on his leg. And then he turned it round by his performances, and he did some really good stuff on TV. And people looked at his character a totally different way and thought, you know what, he's actually a really good kid that is playing brilliant football for City. But there was better players than him individually that should have won it last year.
The point is that it isn't on ability, because if it was on ability, then all of those years that other people have won it, then it would have been won by the best footballer in the league. It would have been won by the person who's got the best ability, but it hasn't. It's generally been won by people that have a bigger impact. So it might not just be on the best footballer. It's I'm a good footballer and I have impact on my team, my club, the league, whatever it may be. That's the way it seems to have been awarded. And I think that Kevin De Bruyne is a good example. And also Rashford for this year getting third is another good example. I think also you'd have some recency bias. So when they cast that vote, whatever's happened in the recent 6 weeks is in the front of your mind. And when you look at what Liverpool have done, when people have cast that vote, Liverpool have just won the Premier League, or are just about to win the Premier League, and have ran away with it. So I think that probably plays a part as well, because Van Dijk was, what was he, fifth?
Yeah.
Fourth or fifth?
And Mane.
So I think it's, and Mane, yes. So in the top 5, we had 3 players. So I think it's a lot of it is recency bias, and it's a lot to do with the team as opposed to the individual. Mane, I think, has been outstanding this year.
Liverpool's best player.
Yeah, if you were to pick an individual who'd been the best player for Liverpool, I would argue it's Mane this year. But if you're trying to pick a player that has had the biggest influence on the club and on what we've done, then I understand why Henderson is the pick.
So what would be really interesting to see when the players' player is announced and see what comes out from that.
Yeah, but then that would kill Darren's argument. And I'll tell you why. Because how many times did you win players' player, Dad?
Loads. I was like 3 or 4 times on the run.
Okay, so let me ask you the question, which you can be entirely honest about. Do you think that you had more ability than anyone else in that team, or than everyone else in that team?
Without a doubt. No, and I get your point. What you're talking about there is impact. And you're talking about the impact of
consistency, support, being a team player, all of that stuff.
Yeah, and I get that. And you know, my award was because I was the best player. But Henderson, for me... Do you know what, though? To be fair, Thomas, he stacked that question massively there.
I knew where I was going with it, mate.
I know you did.
Rightly so. Rightly so, Darren. You deserve that.
Hey, he stacked it. But you're right, and I get your point. However, I think when you're talking... And I've got nothing... What Henderson's done in the game, particularly this year, has been immense. And he should get every credit that's thrown at him for that. As should Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
Should get every credit that he's done with the breakfast and you know, trying to get rid of poverty and all that. It's brilliant. That's outside the game of football. What they've done is brilliant. If you're looking for someone who's been driven his team on, and when they're not playing, they don't look the same. And I get that. Henderson's done that. There's no denying that Liverpool play better when Henderson's there when he's not.
I'm gonna search now for previous winners of Football Writers Player of the Year.
Okay, and I'm not saying he doesn't deserve an award as such, but I don't know. I just think it's been given, and quite rightly, if that's what they've done, for more of a global idea of given what he's done, the impact he's had outside the game.
This is brilliant, Daz. The first picture that showed up was Neville Southall. Okay, so
I've rested my case.
I'll give you the last 10 years. Right, so last year it was Sterling. Year before it was Mo Salah. Year before it was N'Golo Kante. So again, that kind of kills the argument because he's a great player. But I mean, in the 16-17 season, I guarantee you there were players that were better than him.
Yeah,
Jamie Vardy.
He won the league. He helped them win the league.
Yeah, he did, yeah. Eden Hazard, Luis Suarez,
They're all the best players in the league.
Robin Van Persie. I don't think so.
Luis Suarez?
He was the best player in the league. By
but I mean, there's you could probably only say that about 1 or 2 of those 10.
But Kante was brilliant for Chelsea.
He was, but your argument was ability. So are you telling me that at that time in the 16-17 season, N'Golo Kante had more ability than anyone else?
No, but what are you talking about ability? Because
that was what you're...
I'm talking about football and ability. It doesn't necessarily mean ability just with your feet. It means the whole game.
Well, I guarantee you that if you look at Kante in that year, that there will be players, including, I think, De Bruyne was in the league at that stage as well. There were players that if you stacked them up next to each other and you said, is he a better footballer than him? There will be players who are a better footballer than him.
But it's divine in football because Kante, at that moment, was the best player in his position.
I mean, he was good.
He was the best player in the position, probably across Europe at that time.
Okay, but what position does De Bruyne play?
Well, Kante plays like a defensive midfield player.
Yeah.
Bruyne is more of an attacking midfield player.
What position does Henderson play?
Henderson plays in midfield.
But like 3 different positions. He doesn't
play
and
that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, when Kante played for Chelsea, in that defensive role, there was no one better than him in Europe.
In that one position, but there are 11 positions on the field, so the argument dies because if you're telling me that if the argument is right, De Bruyne, and by the way, I think there's a really good argument for both of these here. I get the arguments of the impact that Henderson's had on the team and driven us to win the Premier League. I think he's played a massive part. If you were going on ability, De Bruyne all day, by far the best player. And I agree with Thomas, he's probably in the top 5 players in the world. But it does kill your arguments because there are players. If we go and look at some of the players that played at that time, I'd argue that 16-17, Hazard was a better player than N'Golo Kante.
But we're talking about different positions all the time. If you take Kante, but if you take Kante out of that Chelsea side, they're not the same.
It wasn't Chelsea, Darren. You get mixed up.
Leicester. They're not the same.
They're not, but then you could say that about if you took Van Dijk out of the Liverpool team, they're not the same.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is, though, all the time, I think what we try and do when we're having these arguments of football is we generally just always look at those, how can I put it, those players who scored the goals.
Will you just admit you're wrong, Darren?
No. No. I'm going to sit here.
Did win it in 2008, 2009. No.
So they are. So Gerrard was the best player in the league in that position, without a doubt.
But I think he was the best player in the league.
But you're biased again. You two are just biased.
You know for a fact that I'm not. But what I'd say is that if you look at these, right, it's not consistent the way they look at it. It's clear it's not, because they're all over the place. So if you were picking the best midfielder and the best centre-half or the best defender and the best attacker, it's a little bit different, but it's literally all over the place. Obviously, as you say, the players that win it generally, the players that are playing further up the park because they get more attention. And if you look at in fact, 2010-11, Scott Parker won it. So,
I'll give you that one.
Definitely not the best player. Robin Van Persie's won it. Actually, it's a really good mix. It's funny the way they're done. Thierry Henry won it twice, Thomas.
Not bad.
Was that Scott Parker when he was at Chelsea?
No, West Ham.
West Ham, okay.
I don't know. Maybe because they might have had a fight to stay up that year, probably. But was that a year where they finished higher up?
So my question then to you, Si, is should have Henderson have won it?
I think if I was voting for it as a non-Liverpool fan, I'd have voted for De Bruyne. Because I think it's hard to see past how good he is. But it's clear that they're not just looking at ability, they're looking at other stuff. And I think if you look at ability, because the thing is that the stats don't lie. If you look at the stats and you compare Henderson and De Bruyne, it's miles away from each other. But if you take into account his ability, and he's a decent player, he's done really well for Liverpool this year.
Yeah, made great progress.
He looked different when he's not in the team.
Yeah.
His influence over the other players and what he's done with some of the younger players, bringing them through, apparently has been really good. And you can see it on the park as well. His influence on the club, his influence on the community, and then some of the stuff that he did through lockdown. It becomes difficult not to pick him, because he's then in the conversation. And then you'd have to say, well, I'm picking De Bruyne for ability over everything else.
And he'd won the league as well, which you haven't had on there.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Out of cancer. So all them points are fabulous, but at the end of it, we've won the big shiny thing.
So on that then, are you saying that the person who wins the Footballers' Right of the Year has to win the league?
No, not at all. Because there's another person that has wound me up the last couple of days. Minus you, Darren, was Guardiola, that come out with Liverpool are going to win the league, so they're guaranteed to get Player of the Year, and my players aren't going to get a sniff, and they didn't get a sniff last year, and a Liverpool player got the year before when they won the league. But what I actually didn't look into was Sterling won it last year. They won the league, and Sterling got Player of the Year.
He got right as Player of the Year, did he?
Yeah, he got it last year. Now, he's just crapped all over his own argument. The best player isn't always going to win it. And I don't think we've agreed that Jordan Henderson isn't the best player in England at the moment. Kevin De Bruyne is. I totally get that. But when you add up all the other factors that go along with the Henderson, I think he's a deserved winner.
I'm made up.
He got it. He got it for what we've done this year.
I think he's a great guy. I think he's done an awful lot for a lot of charities, and he puts a lot of effort in the time. I've got no problems with it. But my advice now to any Premier League footballer out there who listens to this podcast is, have a decent season, get yourself involved with a charity, go on Twitter, sell your charity, and you'll be right to Player of the Year.
That's not true.
That's tongue-in-cheek, by the way.
Yeah, to be fair, Rashford has put himself in a good position, but he's been crap since the...
that's his problem. He could have won that.
Yeah, but he also broke his back, didn't he?
He's what?
He broke his back early in the season. He missed a lot of the season with a broken back, didn't he?
But good player, him.
Yes, and you know what? Fair play, Jordan Henderson. Congratulations. I've got no problems with it. But I just like what's the criteria would be interesting.
I'm just going to start spreading on Facebook that you don't think he should get it. See what happens to your house.
Oh my God, yeah. Let's do it. Let's do it, Simon.
And he wears football tops.
Shot of his front of his house.
Villa fan doesn't like Jordan Henderson. Brilliant.
No, I think he's a decent player.
Yeah, I'm joking, mate.
Yeah, no, but I think everything else has contributed to him winning it. And if that's the reason,
I'm going to do it.
Fair play. And
Okay,
this is the end of my podcast days now. We've got one more year left. Don't you start, Thomas.
All right, so what the plan is, we've got the FA Cup final to come, and we've got the end of the Champions League. So we'll do another couple over the next couple of weeks, and then we'll take a bit of a break. Finish off the season. We'll do a bit of a season finale. Get a little bit excited about the fact that we won the league and Villa stayed up. Both achieved our goals for the year, and then we'll come back at some stage and start talking about the next season. It's exciting.
Yeah, it really is. Thanks, guys. Loved your company, by the way. Even our arguments off the podcast have been quite good.
What a great day.
I've hated it, never.
All right, see you on the next one.
See you. Take care. Bye-bye.